How about now? Can you hear me? Yay! I'm so glad. Okay. Sorry about that. Sometimes my beautiful microphone does not want to work, so we're just going to unplug that puppy and pretend that it doesn't exist. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me, and thank you for letting me know about my technical difficulties. Today, I'm going to show you guys 18 ways to improve your engagement on Instagram and other social media platforms as well, because cross-promoting your content on everywhere else including Instagram, is also a really important strategy that I think we need to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And you should be able to see me now. Okay. The vortex of screens is happening. So I'm going to switch over here and share this information with you guys. Present. If it'll go. There we go. Okay. Technical difficulties aside. So today we're going to talk about different ways to improve your Instagram engagement. You guys definitely know who I am, but for those who are tuning in post this live cast, I do want to let you know that I'm Sarah. Hello, thank you for joining me. I've been in marketing for almost 12 years now, and I help side hustlers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs make the best use of their social media through coaching, strategy creation, consulting. Also, I love Game of Thrones, and yes, my brand name is definitely a derivative of Mother of Dragons. I also have, fun fact, 3 dragons as my tattoos here that represent my children. So let's move on to the next thing, because I don't like to spend a whole lot of time talking about myself. I really want to get to the content and what is going to be good for you. So let's first talk about what is good engagement on Instagram. On average, there are a couple varying levels of good. Less than 1% is obviously pretty low engagement. Anything between 1 and 3.5% is typically categorized as average or good engagement, and is definitely the engagement baseline you want to aim for when you're starting to revamp all of your content. Next, between 3.5 and 6% is a pretty high engagement rate. So if you're seeing on average your posts hitting that 5% engagement rate, you're doing a really great job, and you should definitely keep up with all the hard work that you're putting into it, because that will increase over time. And a lot of these tactics that we're going to go over will also help you understand what you should be utilizing too. So, and then lastly, above 6% is obviously very, very high engagement and is a little bit outside the norm. The accounts that you see that have 1.7 million or 10,000 or 19,000 followers, I've worked with some of those accounts and people who have those accounts, and typically the engagement rates are between 1 and 3.5%. They aren't reaching their total audience share as much as they would like. So what we do is we create a strategy that helps them cope with some of that loss of engagement and help re-engage those followers going forward. So take a screenshot of this formula, because this is how you figure out what your engagement rate is if you're not using a tool like Later or Sprout Socials. So I'll give you guys a minute I'm gonna take a drink. You guys go ahead and take a screenshot really quick. I'm drinking a chai tea latte today because I need a little caffeine. All right, so next, let's talk about what bad engagement is. Obviously, anything below that 1% is going to be considered bad. The industry standard, and by industry, we mean everyone on Instagram, the average engagement rate is typically between 1 and 3%. And that's generally a really good engagement level, like I had said earlier. However, anything that falls below 1%, definitely going to be seen as bad. However, I don't want you to look at that as you have bad engagement or you're not doing a good job. You just need to adjust some parts of your strategy to really begin engaging with and getting your followers to engage with you as well. So let's talk about how to fix bad engagement on social media. The first way, you know what, actually, what I'm going to do really quick, since my screen doesn't allow me to see you guys, I'm going to check in with you over here to see how you guys are doing. Everyone doing good over here? If you're doing good, let me know if you need to redo your screenshot at the end in the comments, and I'll make sure to go back to that slide so that you guys can take a screenshot of that. It is a very wonderful formula, especially if you don't want to end up paying, you know, $20, $30, $40, $100 a month for social media software. Okay, so the best time to post on your profile. I use Later. It is one of the more affordable social media software tools. I pay $20 a month, and it covers 2 Instagram accounts, 2 Twitter accounts, and 2 Facebook accounts. So essentially, it's putting in at 2 different groupings, if you will. I have my social media therapy podcast as one group, and then I have all my Sarah Potter stuff as a second group. So this is a screenshot that I took here of my actual followers' online activity and where and when that time falls. But I like going through real-time examples because I think that it helps you guys understand that a little bit more. So we're going to jump into this here, and I'm going to show you how you can find this in Later. Once it loads, that is. So essentially, if you're trying to figure out the best time to post and you don't have Later, something that you can do is grab your phone and go to your Instagram Insights. If you don't have Instagram Insights, that means that you may have just a creator profile or you have a standard profile, and you need to make sure that you are reincorporating that. Fun little note here. I love the profile summary that Later gives you. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm purging lots of people who follow me that have not actively engaged with my account. So you'll see these pretty low follower growth rates, and that's just because I'm purging the crap out of my profile. I think I got rid of like 500 non-active users on my profile last month. That'll be a whole discussion in and of itself next week. All right, so when we're in Later, when we go to click audience, it's going to show us everything it can about our audience engagement. So if we look at when our followers are online, people who follow my account are typically online on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. These are the 3 peak days and times in the week, about 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Those are my golden hours. So I try to make sure when I'm posting content that I post it in between those hours so that the more people there are online, the more they'll be able to engage with my content. You can also look at your post performance here to see what your engagement rates are like. So you can see one of them is at 1%. We have this one that has a really high 6% engagement rate. And you can go as far back as 3 months. So making sure that you stick to how often you're viewing your analytics is really important. Okay, let's go back over here. So then next, we have start conversations and ask your audience questions in Instagram stories. So a lot of us tend to think that people are going to just look at our Instagram feed or just at our Instagram reels and not our stories, because stories aren't important. No matter how many people are viewing your Instagram stories, it's a really great way to begin encouraging people to help you and work with you and answer questions and take polls and everything like that. If you look and follow any celebrity type magazines, they do tons of polls. They'll have this versus that, or hot versus not. They'll have celebrity couple 1 versus celebrity couple 2, and have you define and narrow down based on user polls who their audience are interested in reading about and understanding. This is something that you can do too. So if you have a products-based business, or if your client is a products-based business, you can take a snapshot of one product with another and then have a poll and say this or that. A lot of people have been doing this with interior design. A good interior designer to follow is Blue Copper Design. They're based here in Arizona, and they have a couple of really great Instagram stories where they are sharing different interior designs and having you pick which one you like. And it's really fun and really interesting. And the key to this is to make your questions, your polls, your call to actions, and your swipe up actions about your user. Not about you, about your user, and getting their feedback and their opinion. People love to share their opinion, so definitely take advantage of that. Here is a quick example for you. So here where I mentioned comparing one product to another, you can see that this woman is comparing plain donuts to sprinkles. I'm definitely a plain Jane when it comes to my donuts because I'm not super huge on sweets. But being able to do a poll like this really helps re-engage and create a little more fun on your Instagram account. Because if we just stick to stiff and stuffy stuff, or viewing the same picture of your dinner plate every night, not everyone's going to be interested in that. Next, try out and test new content ideas. This is something that every single marketer does. They create totally new content, different content, take different pictures, different angles. They look and see and compare and contrast what type of posts are doing the best. Explore new ways of making video for social media. Maybe instead of doing a polished and professional video, you should be sitting down and using your phone and making it maybe a little more rickety, a little more first person. Maybe instead of going with your traditional content, you need to get trendy and use TikTok or Reels hashtags or trends that people are interested in. There are also different ways and options for you to create mini infographics. If you have a niche that you're in, and there's definitely a lot of information surrounding, let's say, newborns and moms, you can create a small infographic for Instagram, either it's as a slide or as just one little tiny shareable piece of content. Getting people to save your content, share your content, mini infographics are a really great way to do that. You can also develop a content series. One of the clients that I've worked with in the past, Stephanie O'Connell, you can look her up on Instagram, Stephanie O'Connell. I'll put her link in the comments in a little bit. But with her, we would take some of her blog posts, and this is also repurposing content, and creating 10 different slides for her Instagram where we highlighted different aspects of that blog to call out and bring attention to various aspects of the information she provides. It's a great way to make sure any of your blog content doesn't go to waste. Create savable content. So as I mentioned with the mini infographics, this is something that I'm currently testing out with my audience and have noticed has been a mixed bag of interest, and that may just have to pertain to specific types of topics. So I have one here, why Instagram engagement is so important, and 4 ways hashtags help you. This little mini infographic has had a huge percentage of engagement. I think it's like 7% engagement versus this one, which is currently set at 0. But this one I didn't share information about the webinar workshop thing, and this one I did. So it could just be that those are 2 very different things, and maybe people don't want to share this versus the number of times this was shared because of that. Creating that savable content though, and being able to have a variety of savable content for your customers and your clients and your audience on Instagram and social media as a whole, really allows you to understand like what they like and what is going to give you the most traction. Number 5, share niche-based data that your audience will love. Find a fact that applies to your business online. Use that direct factoid in a small paragraph or as an element of graphic design within your image or the mini infographic that you might be creating or within the video that you're creating, and write a small paragraph with your perspective on that data point. You can then also tag the brand, tag them in the photo, and tag them in the comments, and let them know that you have shared that content or that fact or that statistic so that they can potentially bring more attention to your post for you. The more consistent you get with tagging different brands or even the same 5 to 10 brands within your posts, the more those brands are going to start paying attention to you and calling out to that information. If you're a fashion blogger, one of my favorite personal brands is EverEve. EverEve Official on Instagram. They are really great about liking and commenting on so many different people's posts, as well as sharing content from their users in their Instagram stories, which is huge. Totally an amazing thing. And brands that do that often see a better community surrounding them. Here is an example of one that I did about the pandemic and moms working from home. I posted this back in September, and I did not expect to have as many angry Gen X based moms commenting in the comments of this post, but that was great. It started a conversation. It brought out engagement, and it really brought more attention to the simple fact that the average uninterrupted stretch of work time for parents working from home during the pandemic is less than we would actually think. And it does vary from parent to parent. I have young kids, she had older kids, so obviously it's going to be a little different, and that's okay. But anyway, aside from that factoid, that is a great point and a great type of piece of content that you can use to draw more attention. Number 6 is writing longer captions. This is really a huge point that so many brands miss out on. A lot of people think that all you need is 1 or 2 liners or a really great quip, and people are going to engage with your stuff. If you look at the trend here in this graph from later in 4, you can see the number of characters placed into a caption has been steadily rising since 2016. And if we look at how this is trending, it's obviously trending upwards. A really fun example is the Birds Papaya. If you're not following Sarah Nicole Landry, highly recommend you follow her. She's really great and a really wonderful shining example of long content form. She attributes her growth of 70,000 followers to 1.7 million over the course of just 1 year by using more personal captions as well as longer captions. So number 6 and number 7 really tie in together because the longer you take to write something, it's going to feel obvious that you will incorporate more of your own opinion and personal experience into that caption. And that's great. People want to connect with you. They want to see a part of themselves in you. And being able to show that through your captions is going to be a really powerful way in getting more engagement. Statistics show us that users who use personal anecdotes, which is personal stories, in their posts receive 42% more engagement. I feel like that's reason enough to say get personal and write longer captions. Number 8, don't be so serious. There is a time to be serious and there is a time to have fun, but you do want to make sure that you have a good mix between being serious and having fun with your content. There is a way to identify the kind of branding that you should be doing with your content as well as what you write. And that is my favorite, what is it called? Bethany McCamish, she has a brand quiz that you can take that helps you identify your brand's persona, which I highly recommend taking. It's amazing. You can go find her on Bethany McCamish on Instagram. And the link in her bio has that link. It's a highly recommended brand quiz. I loved it because it helped me understand that I have a joking side to myself, and I should incorporate that a little bit more into my content instead of being so serious and data-driven all the time. So definitely have fun with your content. Incorporate different aspects of it. If you look at my Instagram Reels, you'll see that I have a couple of different funny little reels that have nothing to do entirely with social media specifically or tips and tricks and how to make or break things. They're stories that relate to how I've been connecting in my world professionally. One of my favorite ones is a quote that I did from The Emperor's New Groove, a Disney movie, where Yzma is talking about how the people in her city just don't have food and how they should have thought about that. Like, so many people can relate to the fact that clients don't care if you have food on your table. They care about their bottom dollar. And that is different for many clients. Most of the clients I have today are amazing and I love them very much. But that aside, stop being so serious. Stop talking about tips and tricks and how-tos. Incorporate some fun into your profile, whether that's through glitter and crafts or the way that you go about your work on a daily basis. Number 9, get a hashtag strategy. This is a really huge part too. Hashtags are not dead. In last week's workshop, I was talking about how important hashtags are and how to revamp your hashtag strategy. And this is something that a lot of people neglect. You can't just use the same 10 hashtags over and over and over again and expect to be seen by different people. You may be getting great engagement, but you're not reaching anybody new. It's the same people who view those hashtags on a daily or weekly basis. So overall, you want to really try to use a variety of hashtags. It's recommended that you try out between 100 and 300 different hashtags every single month, because even just one hashtag gives you a 12.6% boost in your engagement. And that is a really huge, really easy thing. Once you put in the time to do your hashtag research, you will be able to understand the different hashtags you should use on a more autonomous level versus the number of hashtags that you were probably using before and maybe not really thinking about a whole lot. This is another screen I want you to take an image or a screenshot of. These are the 4 different methods for finding hashtags. You can go back to last week's webinar workshop that I did. You can find it on motherofmarketing.co/workshops, and you can hear me talk a lot more about these 4 methods. We're not going to dive into them today because I did cover them in last week's webinar, so make sure you go back and watch that. It's either on YouTube or, like I said, motherofmarketing.co/workshops. You can also download this guide that has, it's actually over 3,000 different hashtags now because I updated it just a week ago. But this is like 32 pages of hashtags that you can download. There's a variety of categories. So if you're a social media manager watching this, this is a really valuable piece of content because all of these hashtags I've tested, I've used, and they work. Number 10. Make shareable content. This goes back to what we were saying earlier about trying out new content and making content that people want to share. It doesn't necessarily have to be something along the lines of a mini infographic or a pretty picture. It can be relatable posts that help others identify with a part of themselves that they see in you. You can use funny pictures, funny memes, or images. There are Instagram accounts who are using tons and tons of images of memes on their accounts, and they're doing really well. Investing Latina is a really great example of an Instagram account who is going out there and just using memes and creating her own memes to gather engagement and bring relatability to her profile about investing. You can create relatable reels and TikToks. I had a TikTok that got, and is still growing, that has over 10,000 views now and also has a little over 800 likes on that TikTok. and it's just me like literally putting bread and egg into my mouth to eat and listening to someone talk about childhood trauma and me kind of going through the steps of realizing like, maybe this is me. And so many people can relate to that. And it also brings awareness to an important cause, which is mental health. Number 11, make more video content. HubSpot, which I highly recommend following, they're a great resource, has shown that 65% of business executives polled said that they visited a marketer's website after viewing a branded video. This is huge. Whether that branded video is on your social media or YouTube and your website or a mix of whatever, that video is important to helping your customers and clients see who you are and understand who your brand is from a visual perspective. Words and video say more than a simple picture does. People are also more apt to watch your video and engage with that video and connect with that video than they are to read a long paragraph or a bunch of text and view an image. But again, this is a part of the testing phase, testing out what content people engage with more and continuing on with that. Video is also really helpful for SEO, not just on social media, but on your websites as well. And with the average user spending 88% more time watching a video on social media and looking at a profile with video, that is a signifier that you should at least incorporate video a little bit more into your current profile sets, not just for you, but for your clients and your customers as well. Number 12, engage with other profiles in your community. So I'm going to show you how this works per platform. We're about halfway through. Let's check in with you guys while that page loads. Hey, Ashley, let me know in the comments which link you're looking for. I will be posting a whole bunch of them at the end of the webinar so that you can go and click on all the things. That's later. Okay, so this is a networking community that I am a part of. Steph, if you're watching, hello, thank you for coming. But this is a community that I'm a part of. And when I go and engage with some of these women, I go to Steph's community page and I click on who this page is following. And I scroll through here to view and click on some of the women and some men that I know I engage with on a daily basis. So I do engage with Local Buzz. And let's see. Stephanie. And Soul Naked CEO. And we'll just pull up those 3 examples, but typically I'll pull up about 10 to 20 different people from this list that I know I engage with on a daily basis. Close that out. And then I'll go over to their profile and I'll click on their content. Like literally just click on their content. Watch and view their content. Like the content. Maybe leave a comment on the content. And continue to go through all of the information that they have posted and all of the videos or what have you, just to make sure that I'm keeping up with some of that. And maybe I'll rabbit hole a little bit, and if I see someone who I follow consistently liking their content, I'll go check out their stuff too to see what they have going on and if I can engage with that as well. Then I move on to the next person. And I take a look at their content. And I pull up their content. And I like their content. And then I read through their content. And I write a comment or make a statement about what they're saying in their post and make them feel seen and heard. And then I'll come to the next profile and do the same thing and repeat that process. On average, you should take at least 3 times out of your day on every single Instagram profile to go through 10 profiles and engage with the content on those profiles in a genuine fashion, not just spam like a bunch of things. That's not good. We don't want that. We don't want to see that. Now let me show you how this looks on Twitter, because it's a little bit different. So we'll go to Twitter. Gotta take a drink here. My son and I are getting a little bit of a cold, so we're a little stuffed up today. So what I'm doing here on Twitter is I have a couple different lists that I follow. And so this is Social Media Marketing World 2015. This is a list of members who attended. And what I'll do is I will look through this list, read some of this content, and then engage with some of this content. So I might like a post, reply to the comments, or read the comments. This is a really huge, valuable thing to do, is pulling up someone's post, looking at everyone who has tweeted back to them or replied to them in the tweet, and engage with those people as well, because you can just go inside each thread and find other people to engage with. You're more likely to get engagement back from these individuals than you are the actual person who posted the original tweet. Then I continue to work through this list. I spend about 10 to 20 minutes a day looking through this list as well as other lists on my Twitter profile and engaging with these individuals. And a lot of times what I do too is once I follow someone, I go and find them on Instagram so that I can begin engaging with them on Instagram too and building that cross-platform relationship. So now let's jump right back in and we'll go on to number 13. Another example that we're going to do. Engaging with people in community-based hashtags. So big difference between these two. We're engaging with profiles in our community versus engaging through community-based hashtags. So let's walk through a couple of examples of what this looks like again so that you have a better understanding of what I mean. Because I'm not just pulling up profiles with this aspect. This is a completely different strategy. So I've pulled up as an example, Social Media Manager. It'll have all the top posts listed and then some of the more recent posts. This is how I engage people who are not already in my audience network that I want to begin engaging and bringing into my engagement funnel on Instagram. So again, same thing that we were doing before, just through the community-based hashtag instead. We're looking at the photo, we're reading the caption here, we're liking the photo, and then we're gonna leave a nice comment, and then I'll move on to the next post. Read the post, walk through the content, help myself understand, what this person's talking about, if I relate to it, and then again, once I'm done reading the content and I love what they've got going on, I'm gonna hit like, leave a comment, move on. And I continue to do this. So in addition to the 10 profiles that you engage with 3 different times per day, I'm also engaging with people in the Social Media Manager hashtag community who I know are going to be able to connect with me and really have a better understanding of what I am talking about. Like that client reel that I mentioned earlier with the Emperor's New Groove thing. People can connect with that because they're like, man, I have had a really crappy client in the past who has literally said to me, you should have managed your personal finances better. Then you wouldn't have to worry about this invoice. Like so many social media managers and even just freelancers in general can connect with that. And I want to bring those people into my fold through this strategy. So that's how that works on Instagram. Similarly, you can utilize Twitter for this too. If you are a social media manager who is watching this, definitely utilize hashtag marketing Twitter. There are tons of interesting conversations going on in this hashtag and lots of opportunities. I found 2 speaking gig opportunities for the month of March just by going in through this hashtag. And that is huge. Those were opportunities that weren't just going to land in my lap. I was able to find them in here and then also build a relationship and bring 4 or 5 people into my Instagram community. Again, cross-platform engagement is such a vital part of marketing as a whole. Instagram is just one part of the marketing wheel. So anyway, same as we were doing before with the Twitter list, but just through the hashtag strategy instead. We're going through, reading some of these tweets, seeing if I identify with them, what we think, liking the tweet, leaving comment, maybe exploring the thread of comments happening within this tweet, and then providing our own personal feedback and thoughts on the matter as well. Again, another 10 to 20 minutes on this. So I say 10 to 20 because overall I'm going to probably spend 10 minutes doing the hashtag community engagement and then 10 minutes doing the profile list engagement because I have other work to do, as do you guys. It's a pretty big time investment when you're looking to grow your own profiles versus working on the profiles of your customers. So always keep that in mind and find time to prioritize your own social media profiles and don't let them fall by the wayside. My 14th tip is to go live on social media channels. I know that you're probably thinking, I don't want to go live. I'm really uncomfortable with that. And the only way to get past that feeling of like being uncomfortable is to just go out and do it and really just jump in and push yourself into the deep end where you can begin to engage on a live basis with your audience. A few people that do this really well, Investing Latina, she goes live like 4 or 5 times a week and is also talking in Clubhouse. But when she does go live, she really lives with and feeds into her community. Tells them, thank you for coming. I'm so excited that you're here. How is your day going? Asks them questions about themselves, warms up her audience, and then dives into talking about the subject matter that she wants to focus on for that live on Instagram or wherever else she might be doing. Going live on social media is such a great idea because it helps expand your audience reach within the audience members that are already following you. It also enhances your brand's awareness. Like how I'm doing these webinars and these workshops is I'm doing them to bring awareness about in regard to my level of expertise, the way I approach social media, and how my brand functions. And that is what going live can and will do for you as well. It also helps you build unique content that are customized to that platform. So going live on TikTok is significantly different from going live on Periscope or Instagram or Facebook. They're all different formats, all different audiences, but still incredibly relevant and important to start trying to do. And you don't have to go live for very long. You can have a 10-20 minute conversation on your live channels. And you can even multi-stream into various different channels through different streaming platforms and have these conversations across multiple platforms at the same time while still getting all of the content, all of the comments from the people watching the live streams on different platforms. It's a really great strategy. It's Restream.io is the platform for that one. But here are a few of my favorite examples. Bethany McCamish also does a lot of really great community-based Instagram lives. And then the band L West on Instagram has a really fun community-focused way of engaging with friends and fans on Instagram. Next, share audience-made content. So have you ever created something and have someone share that content on their Instagram profile and then tag you and comment on how great it is? I have a couple of times and it feels really great. Do the same thing for people who follow you, who are sharing great content, even if it's a similar industry or niche. If it's great content, share it. Help your audience connect with more people. Social media is about building community, whether that be creating a community that you can join and be part of offline and then engage with on social media, or if it's a social media based community, not just Facebook groups, more than just that. It's a movement, it's a community centered on the content and creations you share and make. You can also share big ideas from your favorite reels. Often in my Instagram stories, if I have a reel that I watch that I really connect with, I'm going to share it. Or if I find a TikTok video that I really love, I'm going to share that to my Instagram stories too. I also read a lot of articles online. So if I find a piece of written content online that I really connect with, I'll take a picture of it with my phone and then or I'll screen capture it on my phone and share it that way and highlight pieces of the content. But then I'll tag that writer and that brand that that blog or article was published on and really bring highlight to the great content that I enjoyed on that profile. Another great way to share audience-made content or to support your audience is to tag them in a story and say, hey, follow all of these people. They have important things to say and you definitely need to watch them. You can also go with a weekly or monthly theme and highlight some of your favorite creators. In the month of March, I'm going to be highlighting various women within any and every industry out there who inspire me and have really kind of pushed me into this higher level of self and have really kind of helped me shape my new identity post-COVID and post all of this healing and mental health journey that I've been on. That's a really great way to help bring more people under your wing, as well as say, hey, I'm in this community too, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Give a little and you'll get a little back. The 16th tip I have for you is to bandwagon on trends and trending hashtags. This is something that you do through research and finding out what is trending. Most of the time, I find out what's trending just by going to the Discover feed on TikTok. There was a hashtag career advice, hashtag FYP, and a couple of other hashtags that were doing really well this week that were also translating over to Instagram because people are cross-promoting their content on both those platforms. And it really helped me understand, like, these are topics that I can also talk about, and they're on trend. Now, you don't always need to be on trend. Maybe you want to try to set the trend. You can definitely do that too. If you work with larger brands, you can definitely work on a strategy that really hones in on how can we start this trend. One thing that a lot of Netflix shows have done on TikTok is they'll create their own hashtag and their own like TikTok video to emulate. And people will jump on that bandwagon and definitely like do many iterations of that trend. You may have seen the Umbrella Academy did a really interesting one on TikTok. And then there was also that doorway one where people were singing that song, "Put Your Head on my shoulder," and then like it would transition into like a sexy outline, or people were doing like silly things like dressing up in dinosaur costumes. When I did mine, I stood from the back so you couldn't tell I was pregnant, and then I did the side panel and was like, oh, pregnant. I don't know really what I was doing with that one. I was just trying to do something and test it out. And when you're doing that, it's okay to do that too, because you might hit a trigger with people and they might want to engage with your content and learn more about you and be like, this is really interesting. I totally relate to this. I love this. And that's fun. That's bringing the element of fun back into the work that you do, right? So next, embrace Instagram Reels and TikTok. These are two of the biggest platforms, and I will say I feel that Instagram Reels is a platform in and of itself within Instagram, similar to how Facebook Groups is seemingly its own platform within Facebook. These two platforms are really huge, fast growing, and it's a really fun, easy way to share quick bites of content and information and put a little humor into your feeds, as well as find content and music, quotes, and different sayings from movies and pop culture that really identify with some of the struggles you may be experiencing in your industry or niche. And my last piece of advice, slide into your audience's DMs. There is a right way and a wrong way to do this. The right way is to be truly genuine with them and say, thank you for following me. I really appreciate your follow. Sometimes I follow that up with like, how can I support you? What are some ways that I can support you and what you're doing here on social media? And sometimes they may not answer, and sometimes they're like, hey, I've got this post that I'm talking about. I'd love it if you shared it in your stories. Or I'll say like, hey, I really love this article that you wrote. Can I share it in my weekly newsletter? People love hearing that too. Sending in a message that shares how their content impacted you. If you are wanting to connect with them more and maybe work with them and have some questions, you can slide into their DMs and just be like, hey, do you have an email address I can reach you at? I wanted to email you because I want to work with you or partner with you on something, and I want to give more detail and talk about it more seriously. And then you can kind of go from there. The wrong way to do it is to start following someone, and the minute they start following you back, pitch your services. Oh my God, the number of times I have seen this, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this too. It's really, really bad out there. There's so many people who do that, or they'll cold call you on Instagram and be like, hey, I'd really love it if you follow this profile. Another one that's really terrible is to ask a user to be the brand ambassador. Or my favorite is when people are like, hey babe, love your profile, would love it if you'd be a brand ambassador with us. Like, if brands are really interested in working with you as a brand, they're going to go with the right way to do this and say, hey, we're interested in partnering with you or working with you. What's your email so we can send you details? That's a great way to do it. The wrong way is to just, oh God, the gross, cringeworthy ways where you're kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do this. This seems really sketchy. Or another way people will do the brand ambassadors thing is they'll say that they're messaging you on behalf of a brand on Instagram when, like, in reality, they suck and it's just some weird, sketchy, random profile. Avoid that at all costs. Don't be that person. And if you have clients that say like, well, I've seen people do this, is this a good idea? Highly recommend you tell them no. God, no, please no. If you need to go on Michael Scott on them with that, like, totally do it. You have my permission. Also, a couple of other wrong ways are telling them just completely out of the blue, like, hey, I've added you to my community on Facebook, or I've added you to my community message on Instagram. Thanks for joining. Unsubscribe. They didn't ask for that, and you didn't ask them. Consent is an important word in all aspects and respects of life. Get people's consent before you start pushing them into different aspects or funnels in your business. And this is something good to communicate to clients as well. Offering a product for someone to review and then you expect them to buy it. I've had a couple of brands DM me on my fashion profile and ask me to review their product for them and make a post about it on my Instagram for free while also paying for their product. And I'm just like, no. Also, lastly, booty calls. They happen frequently. I don't know a single woman in my life who has not experienced the booty call on Instagram. Even professional men on Instagram have done it. It's gross. It needs to stop. So in conclusion, number 18, message people privately but do it the right way. Last little quick thing, I did mention in all of my promo for this that if you do want to take my Instagram masterclass and learn how to make cool stuff on Instagram, gain real followers, create a genuine